Welcome to Michigan's WW1 Centennial News Report. This is for September 2012. I'm Dennis Kupinski. There are less than 2 years before the WW1 Centennial begins. Are you ready? Well, here in Michigan, we're going to get an update from Lansing to find out what's going on as far as Michigan's WW1 Centennial Commission and what's going on with Michigan's WW1 Centennial planning. Then we're going to go overseas, find out what's going on in the United Kingdom from Member of Parliament, Mr. Jeffrey Donaldson, Treasurer of the War Heritage Group. Next, we're going to take a look at training camps in Michigan. What did Michigan do to contribute to the war effort? Finally, we're going to take a look at the internet. We're going to find out some sites on the internet where you can find out more about the First World War. Thank you for watching Michigan's WW1 Centennial News Report, and please get involved. And now, the State Report. As of September 1st, Michigan still does not have a WW1 Centennial Commission. But if you or your organization would like to participate, please contact us at the email address listed below.
But we're pleased now that the Prime Minister has appointed Dr. Murison to be the coordinator. We were concerned that perhaps things weren't moving at the kind of pace we would have liked them to. Other countries like France and Belgium, Australia for example, are a little further advanced in their plans for the commemoration of the First World War. But as I've said, we've had other things going on in the UK. But I'm confident now that both at government level and at local level, the plans will be put in place to make this a very special, very poignant commemoration of what was for the entire world a very significant war indeed. So yes, I think that at last we are moving towards our preparation. Well, I remember when I was at school, one of my favourite experiences was learning the poetry of the First World War poets. I think that poetry is so poignant and so powerful in the message it brings. But one of the schemes that we're looking at, one of the projects is to enable pupils and students in schools and colleges to look at what happened to soldiers from their local community. And they can do that nowadays through the research facilities that are available. For example, the Commonwealth War Graves Commission. There are other organisations where you can go online and you can research what happened to people who actually lived in your community, perhaps even were members of your family circle. We'd like schools to go to their local war memorial and look at the names on there and perhaps do some research about what happened to the individuals who are named on war memorials. So yes, we think this could be a beneficial experience for children and young people, not to glorify war as I've said, but actually to learn what happens in war and why peace is so important and why we should continue to strive for peace.
During the First World War, Michigan had 5 locations that trained soldiers. They were Fort Wayne, the Michigan State Fairgrounds, Selfridge Field, Camp Grayling, and Fort Custer. Fort Wayne is located in the city of Detroit, near the corner of Livernois and Jefferson by the Detroit River. In 1843, construction was started, and it has served as a regular Army outpost until 1949. During the Indian Wars, it was used as a rest place for soldiers who fought the Indians. During the First World War, it was used as a motor transport and mechanics training depot. Until the summer of 1918, that's when 500 African American soldiers came to train at Fort Wayne. They were housed in separate barracks, ate in separate dining facilities, and trained in separate locations of the fort. This was due to the Army's policy on segregation. African American soldiers who did fight in France fought under the leadership of the French Army and were segregated from the Americans. The French Army knew how to handle the African Americans, where the American Army at the time did not. The Michigan State Fairgrounds were used as a training facility for 2 different groups. The first was the 16th Regiment of Engineers Railway, Detroit's only all-volunteer unit, which trained during the months of June and July of 1917 and headed for France to build the infrastructure for the American Expeditionary Force. Some of the projects they worked on were base hospitals, base camps, and railroad construction projects until the final days of the war when they finally got involved with the American offensive. Base Hospital 36 was formed by the Detroit College of Medicine. Mobilized to the state fairgrounds in late August, they continued to train there until late October when they finally sailed for France. Selfridge Field is located in Macomb County near the Clinton River. It's named after Lieutenant Thomas Selfridge, who was the first Army officer to die in an aviation accident when he was flying with Orville Wright. In the summer of 1917, Selfridge Field was a grass-covered field with some Army barracks thrown up around it. These were built by the 33rd Michigan National Guard Company G, who was responsible for maintaining the barracks. Selfridge Field trained pilots, mechanics, and aerial gunners. During the spring of 1918, the Clinton River overflowed and flight operations had to be suspended until the river subsided. Camp Grayling is located near Gaylord, Michigan. In 1913, Camp Grayling was purchased so the Michigan National Guard would have an area to practice their military skills. During the First World War, this was used to train National Guardsmen who would serve in Michigan. During the summer months, it was used to refreshen the skills of the soldier, just in case they were needed in Michigan or in Europe. Fort Custer is located near Battle Creek, Michigan. In 1917, the U.S. Army purchased the land for Fort Custer. It consists of 675 acres and is still used today by the U.S. Army. During the First World War, over 100,000 troops went through Fort Custer. A typical day for a soldier at Fort Custer would go like this. At 5:45 they'd wake up. At 6 a.m. would be reveille or roll call. Then they'd have a few minutes to clean their room up. At 6:30 would be mess call, and this would be for breakfast. At 7 a.m. would be drill call, and after this they'd have 30 minutes of exercise. From 8 a.m. until 11:30, they would have schooling in either engineering, signal, infantry, or artillery. From 11:30 until 1, there'd be lunch and a chance to rest. From 1 p.m. until 3 p.m. would be more schooling in infantry, artillery, engineering, and signal. Then after 3 p.m. would be infantry drills. There would be hikes with increased mileage and increasing the weight. Finally, at 4 p.m., the soldiers would have a chance to shower and change their clothes. At 5 p.m. would be mess call for dinner. At 5:20, retreat sounded, and there was evening roll call. Usually the Star Spangled Banner would be played. At 6 p.m., the soldier would be dismissed for the evening. During the soldiers' off hours, they had the chance to clean their equipment and also fix up their barracks. There was also time for the YMCA and the Knights of Columbus, where they had a chance to relax and also get some spiritual guidance. And now for our Internet Update section. If you do a Google search, you'll get a chance to find Trenches on the Web. It's a World War I website that has multiple links and also a number of interesting articles. If you're interested in finding out more about the First World War, please go to Trenches on the Web. We also want to remind you about Michigan's World War I Centennial News page on Facebook and also on LinkedIn. Please go there and join us. Thank you for watching Michigan's World War I Centennial News Report. During 1917, Edward Schroeder was at Camp Custer, and during his spare time he wrote the Camp Custer March or One Step.